All right, so today we're diving into this article called Freedom on the Road, What Mexican Cars Reveal About Innovation and Capitalism by Jaime Hoerricks.
Oh, cool.
And I have to admit that the title of the document that you submitted, Dude, Where's My Prado? That really piqued my interest.
Yeah.
And so we're going to kind of compare and contrast what's readily available in Mexico in terms of vehicles versus what we see here in the U.S.
Interesting.
and unpack what that might tell us about choice and innovation.
Okay.
And then maybe even challenge some assumptions about freedom in the land of the free.
I like it.
So the article starts by painting this picture of the Mexican car market.
Okay.
And it's striking how different it is from what we're used to here.
Hmm.
Hoerricks points out that these affordable, practical Japanese cars like the Nissan March, the Toyota Avanza, and the Mitsubishi Mirage are everywhere in Mexico.
Right.
You know, these smaller, reliable cars without all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, those are more common there. And actually, Hoerricks, as an autistic person who values simplicity in cars, actually really connects with that.
Oh, wow.
They see this abundance of, practical options as something that's largely missing in the U.S. market.
So it makes you wonder, why are these cars practically invisible in U.S. showrooms?
Yay.
I mean, wouldn't there be a market for affordable, fuel-efficient vehicles here?
Well, it's not just about consumer demand.
Oh.
The article kind of dives into this idea of regulations and emission standards,
Right.
and even lobbying efforts by powerful players in the auto industry to actually shape what's available to us as consumers.
I see.
So, what we perceive as choice is actually heavily influenced by a whole web of factors behind the scenes.
Okay, so it's not as simple as Americans just prefer bigger cars.
Right.
There's more to it.
It's more nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where the BYD Shark comes in.
Okay.
This is a Chinese plug-in hybrid pickup truck that's making waves in Mexico. And, it's comparable in size to a Toyota Tacoma, but it comes with a much lower price tag.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I did see that YouTube comparison you mentioned.
yeah.
And the Shark has some seriously impressive features, and when you look at the price difference, it's pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like, a fully loaded Shark comes in under $50,000, while its American EV truck counterparts like the Rivian R1T started over $73,000.
That's huge. Yeah, over a $23,000 difference.
Okay.
It makes you think, are American EV trucks catering to the average consumer?
Right.
Or are they more of a luxury item?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And the Shark being a hybrid is interesting too.
Yeah.
It feels like a more practical option for people who aren't ready to go full electric yet.
Sure.
But the article goes deeper than that, right?
Yeah. It challenges this whole socialism stifles innovation argument.
Okay.
And they use the Chinese auto industry as a prime example, highlighting their rapid advancements in EV technology.
Interesting.
And their ability to produce vehicles affordably. Right. And they point to China's vertically integrated production model as a key factor here.
And what does that mean exactly?
So basically, they control every stage of production, from raw materials to final assembly.
Wow.
Which allows them to kind of innovate quickly and keep costs down.
So it's like a well-oiled machine.
Kind of, yeah.
All working together towards a common goal.
Right.
And they have strong government support for innovation, too, right?
That's right.
Okay.
They're thinking long-term.
I see.
Investing in R&D, fostering a culture of innovation.
Wow.
And it's quite a contrast to the U.S. auto industry's focus on short-term profits and shareholder value.
Right.
And Hoerricks even argues that, some innovations that we've seen in American cars, like cylinder deactivation and CVTs, were more about cutting costs than improving the driving experience.
Interesting. So it's like choosing a quick fix over a long-term solution.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we've got limited choices and rising prices and limited control over our own vehicles. It feels like a recipe for frustration.
It certainly paints a picture of a system that might not be serving the best interest of consumers.
So this is where the article gets really thought-provoking.
Okay.
Hoerricks calls for this kind of radical rethinking of the U.S. approach to the auto industry.
Mm-hmm.
They suggest opening up the market to global competition, even if it means challenging the dominance of American automakers.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, it's definitely controversial.
It is. But Hoerricks argues that genuine competition could lead to lower prices, higher quality, and more innovation.
I see.
And they're not too keen on the idea of just throwing money at domestic EV production or R&D either.
Because those initiatives often end up benefiting corporations more than consumers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hoerricks argues that we need to look beyond short-term solutions and address the underlying systemic issues that are limiting our choices and driving up costs.
So it's like we're stuck on this predetermined path, and Hoerricks is urging us to consider a different route, one that might lead to a more sustainable and equitable future for everyone.
And perhaps a future where freedom on the road means more than just the freedom to choose between expensive SUVs.
Right. It's almost like we need to redefine what freedom means in this context.
Yeah.
If we're being steered towards certain choices, are we really free? It's a question Hoerricks grapples with throughout the article, actually.
Yeah.
They even go as far as comparing the U.S. system with China's socialist model.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting comparison.
It is.
But Hoerricks argues that China prioritizes consumer access and long-term development,
Okay.
which leads to a different approach to innovation and affordability.
So they're looking at the bigger picture,
Wow.
not just next quarter's profits.
Right, and Hoerricks even points to Cuba as another example.
Interesting.
Despite decades of U.S. sanctions, they've made remarkable advancements in healthcare, particularly in treating conditions like diabetic foot ulcers and erythromelalgia.
I see.
It makes you wonder what other breakthroughs we might be missing out on because of political barriers and, these differing economic priorities.
Yeah, it's like we're limiting ourselves
Uh-huh.
by clinging to a system that prioritizes profit over people.
Yeah, Hoerricks definitely seems to think so.
Yeah.
They challenge us to consider alternative models,
Okay.
to look beyond our familiar capitalist framework and explore systems that prioritize collective well-being over individual gain.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways for our listeners as we wrap up this deep dive into Dude, Where's My Prado?
Well, I think the most striking takeaway is the stark contrast between the Mexican and U.S. car markets.
Right.
The abundance of affordable and practical options in Mexico really highlights how different priorities and regulations can shape what's available to consumers.
Yeah, it's eye-opening to see how these seemingly mundane choices like what car to buy are actually influenced by much larger systems and power dynamics.
Absolutely. And I think this article also forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that maybe, just maybe, we're not as free as we think we are, at least when it comes to our options on the road.
It's easy to get caught up in the marketing and the hype, but this deep dive encourages us to kind of look beyond the surface and question those assumptions.
And to recognize that the pursuit of profit doesn't always align with the needs of consumers or the long-term health of our planet.
So we're being encouraged to think critically about what we value, both individually and as a society.
Exactly. Hoerricks is asking us to rethink the whole system, to consider alternative models that might lead to a more sustainable and equitable future.
Right.
They're suggesting we shift our focus from individual gain to collective well-being.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
But it can feel overwhelming to think about changing such ingrained systems.
Sure.
What can our listeners do to make a difference?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. Read the full article, Freedom on the Road, What Mexican Cars Reveal About Innovation and Capitalism. Let it spark your own critical thinking.
I love that.
Yeah.
Start by questioning everything.
Yeah.
What does freedom on the road truly mean to you?
Right.
What kind of car market would you like to see?
And don't underestimate the power of individual action.
Okay.
Support companies that align with your values. Advocate for policies that promote consumer choice and sustainability.
Even small changes can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
If we all start demanding better, the market will have to respond.
Remember, we're not just passive consumers.
Right.
We have a voice, and we can use it to shape the future of the auto industry and create a world where freedom on the road is truly accessible to everyone.
It's inspiring to think that we can be a part of something bigger, a movement towards a more just and sustainable future.
And it all starts with challenging the status quo and asking those tough questions.
So to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Dude, Where's My Prado? We hope this episode has given you some food for thought and inspired you to look at the world with a more critical eye.
Absolutely.
What are your takeaways? What resonates with you? Share your thoughts with us.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep driving towards a better future.
Yeah, it feels like we've been handed this roadmap, But instead of turn-by-turn directions,
Yeah.
it's filled with questions that make us reevaluate the entire journey.
Right.
What are we really looking for on the road? Is it just about getting from point A to point B? Or is there something more?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of Hoerricks' piece.
Yeah.
You know, it pushes us beyond the surface level
Sure.
of car talk.
Right.
And into a deeper reflection of our values and our choices.
Yeah.
And the systems that shape those choices.
It's like we've been driving on autopilot for so long that we've forgotten we have the ability to steer.
Right.
Hoerricks reminds us we're not just along for the ride. We can actually choose the destination.
We can choose the destination. And that destination might be a world where freedom on the road means having access to a wider range of options.
Nope.
Options that prioritize sustainability, affordability, and the needs of the many, not just the profits of a few.
So what can we do right now to start moving in that direction?
Well, besides diving deeper into the source material, I encourage everyone to consider the questions this article raises in the context of their own lives.
Okay.
What truly matters to you when choosing a vehicle?
Yeah. Are you willing to pay a premium for a certain brand or feature, even if it means sacrificing practicality or affordability?
Right. Are you okay with limited repair options?
Right.
Are there alternatives you haven't even considered because they're not readily available in the U.S. market?
Yeah.
And most importantly, how can you use your voice and your purchasing power to advocate for the kind of car market you want to see?
Right.
Support companies that align with your values. Engage in conversations about these issues with your friends, your family, and even your local representatives.
It's amazing to think that a seemingly simple question, dude, where's my Prado, can lead us down such a fascinating and thought-provoking path.
I know, it's true. It just goes to show that the most profound insights often come from unexpected places.
Yeah.
And that by questioning our assumptions and exploring alternative perspectives, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into freedom on the road.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it sparked some new ideas and encouraged you to think differently about your choices and the systems that shape those choices.
Absolutely.
Remember, the road ahead is full of possibilities. Buckle up, stay curious, and keep driving toward a future where freedom on the road is truly within everyone's reach.